Although its effects were slightly delayed, the financial and economic crisis had a significant influence on developing nations. Every nation faced unique difficulties to overcome. The consequences are worse the more tightly attached the emerging nations are to the global economy. Trade and financial flows were the main means by which the crisis spread, pushing millions back into poverty. In this video, we will talk about 10 countries that are going down. 10. Albania. Albanians protested in Tirana, the country's capital, calling for the resignation of the government over allegations of widespread corruption and skyrocketing consumer costs. According to Forbes, official June inflation was 6.7%, and the Albanian central bank announced an increase in interest rates of 1.25%. 9. Panama. According to AFP, Panama had 4.2% year-over-year inflation in May, combined with a 10% jobless rate and fuel price increases of about 50% since January. The nation has a high rate of social inequality while having a dollarized economy and seeing rapid growth. In some regions of the country, a lack of fuel has resulted, and food market stalls in the nation's capital are running out of stock. 8. Ghana. In June 2022, Ghana experienced its highest annual inflation rate in 18 years, rising to 29.82%. The cost of everything necessary in the West African nation has increased as its economic situation worsens, from transportation to utilities like electricity, gas, and water. The pandemic's impact on the nation's finances was exacerbated by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. 3 times greater than 10 years before, the jobless rate was 13.4% in December of last year. Because of overspending on borrowing, the economy is experiencing a debt crisis. 7. Ethiopia. Ethiopia must both pay the debt and boost GDP growth to levels seen before the COVID scandal. According to its most recent budget, debt reduction would take precedence if the nation is to slow down its economic growth and emerge from the Tigray conflict. In November 2020, a civil war broke out, costing billions of dollars and destroying airports, factories, and roads. According to a report in the Fort, foreign donors stopped providing financial support, and Washington curtailed Ethiopia's tariff-free access to the U.S. market, endangering jobs. 6. Kenya. Depleted foreign exchange and a failing currency are still serious issues. According to David Rogovich, vice president and senior analyst at Moody's, Kenya is vulnerable due to the amount of debt it has relative to its reserves and the financial challenges it faces in managing its debt obligations. This position is worrisome because the nation now doesn't have access to financial markets and has bonds worth more than $500 million that mature in 2024, according to a Reuters article. 5. Nigeria. According to data from 2021, the World Bank recently ranked Nigeria among the top 10 nations with the worst inflation rate. According to Kristalina Georgieva, managing director of the IMF, the Nigerian economy is on the verge of collapsing due to inflation, debt, and the food crisis. Since last year, the cost of groceries, beverages, and supplies has more than doubled. 4. Argentina. Argentina's economy is in peril due to rising global inflation and the impending threat of a recession. Soybeans, corn, and wheat are major exports from Argentina to other countries. But as the year progresses, grain shipments are declining. The nation will struggle to accomplish the goals outlined in the $44 billion agreement reached with the IMF. Massive protests against the government are also being seen throughout the nation due to the high cost of living, unemployment, and poverty. 3. Sri Lanka. The island nation of Sri Lanka is currently experiencing an ongoing economic crisis that began in 2019. Since gaining independence in 1948, this country has experienced its worst economic crisis. Unprecedented levels of inflation, a close to complete depletion of foreign exchange reserves, a shortage of medical supplies, and an increase in the cost of essential commodities are the results. According to reports, a number of interrelated reasons, including tax reductions, money creation, a national initiative to switch to organic or biological farming, the 2019 Easter bombings in Sri Lanka, and the COVID-19 pandemic's effects in Sri Lanka, are what caused the crisis to start. The consequent economic woes led to the protests in Sri Lanka in 2022. 2. Nepal. Despite declining foreign exchange reserves and a widening balance of payments imbalance, the Himalayan country is seeing an increase in imports. Over the past few months, an increase in imports has depleted Nepal's foreign exchange reserves. In the first 11 months of the current fiscal year, the overall import bill for Nepal grew to 1.76 trillion rupees, according to the customs agency. Due to a lack of liquidity in Nepal, banks and other financial institutions are finding it difficult to lend to profitable industries including manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, and the energy industry. 1. Pakistan. Since last year, the nation has been experiencing a terrible economic crisis. Pakistan, like Sri Lanka, is heavily indebted to China due to loans and investments. The investments made through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, are second only to Sri Lanka, which has already fallen into a debt trap and defaulted on its obligations. Due to leasing some of its major industrial projects to Chinese companies, Pakistan is now more in debt. Reuters reported that the nation's foreign exchange reserves have fallen to just $9.8 billion, or around 5 weeks' worth of imports. If you liked the video, smash the like button.